I expect there are a few people here who perhaps have not done anything to do with chakras. At least I know one person. Now, this is the cosmic chakras that you see. On the right, you see in the center is a white and black image. That white and black shows you how the nadis are movements or streams of vital energy or prana, mahaprana. This is vayu that you're seeing, flows into the human body, and it is also outside, so it flows into everybody else. On the right, you will see a blue image in which there are many, many such nadis all over the universes. It's not only in the human body. Everywhere you have this prana which keeps giving life to everything in the universe. And then you'll see that round one, and that round is the earth, and in the middle on one corner is the place where you're staying, which country you are in, and still in the middle is who you are. Now, come to the left and you'll see a picture down below. This is the symbolic understanding of the individual chakras of the body. What does chakra means? Chakra means a turning, a circle, a whirlpool. Wherever the life force flows, there is prana, the vital force. And then when you have this vital force, two crisscrossing, two nadis, they are called nadi, like nadi. They are streams. They are not lines, they are not nerves. And when you see them crisscrossing anywhere, there is a whirlpool of energy, and that whirlpool is called a chakra. In the human body, you have chakras starting from the Muladhara, the red one you see right at the bottom, it's near the perineum. And then below the spinal cord tip, you have the orange one. Then at the level of the navel, all at the back of the body though, is the Manipur chakra. Then you have at the level of the heart, the Anahat chakra. And then you have at the level of the throat, Vishuddhi. And then at the eyebrow center, Agnya chakra. And then you have the Bindu, which is where the tuft is tied by the Brahmins. And above that is the Sahasradhala, or the thousand petaled lotus. These are called chakras or lotuses. Now, every person has these 6 or 7 chakras, primary ones, but wherever your nadis cross, there are little tiny, tiny bits of chakras there. But all the smaller chakras, all the nadis come to one point, and they are just behind your spinal cord, and they are psychic points of energy. It's not something you can generally see unless you use very special types of photography called Kirlian photography. Or if you're so advanced in your pranayama and chakra practices, then also you can see this in other people. Now you come to the chakra right on top. This is the cosmic Muladhara. Because Muladhara means the basis of all manifestation. So this is the cosmic Muladhara, and we'll come to the individual Muladharas. Next slide. So you have first on top, you have an elephant with 6 trunks and a woman on the side. Then you have a man and a woman above that, and you have 4 petals of a lotus. This is how it is symbolically represented, the Muladhara in the individual. The elephant is the strongest and the mightiest animal those days when they explained this. This is for explanation's sake, and it shows the vehicle, that is the strength of what holds everything else. So the Muladhara is like an elephant with 6 trunks, meaning it holds all the 6 other dimensions upon itself. You'll find a man and a woman. The man will, if you look at it in a larger way, he will, later you can do it. He will have four heads, meaning that he expands in four directions. This is the creative force, Brahma, and his Shakti is next to him. So this is the material world, the world where you identify with the physical everywhere, not just your physical body, the earth, that's the soil, the planets, the stars, all that you see in a gross way, not in a subtle way, these are what the material world is made up of. Then you go from there, higher than that is that, by the way, the material world is where we are trying to survive. So we are going beyond survival. So for survival, we need water, air, food, a, a roof over our heads, the act of procreation as a way of survival of the species. From there, you come to the next, and the next is a little more subtle. It's water. They say plunge into the water, either you will be destroyed or you will be renewed. Meaning that if you don't know swimming, you don't get into the water. The first is the earth element, the second is the water element. Now, when they talk of the elements in the Shastras, they are not actually talking of water as you know it or soil as you know it. They are talking of anything solid which has a certain vibration. That vibration is called Prithvi. Then there is another vibration, and that vibration is called Apas or water. They mean a particular vibration in which many of our emotions and feelings and thoughts and instincts and intuitions, they are all in a fragmented way. Yesterday I told you about the lower ocean. It's something like that. The animal that they associate with it is one that can live both in the earth and in the water. And this is the alligator that they show you, because they are telling you it can be dangerous if you don't know how to handle your emotions, your sentiments, your feelings. And it's like the alligator. It would lie down for a long time and you wouldn't know it's alive. You'd think it's dead or it's a piece of wood. But if you go near it, it'll suddenly snap its mouth and eat you up. That's how an alligator or crocodile is. And that's how your emotions are. They are repressed or they are suppressed, or you don't see them or you deny looking at it. And they rest there for a long, long time. And then suddenly, one fine day, when you are stimulated by something, it'll suddenly come and overwhelm you, an emotion. And that emotion is not just from your present lifetime, it's from many, many lifetimes that is sitting there waiting to uh, express itself and finish. Now, when these are two tamasic chakras, when you move higher, you come to two rajasic chakras. The one behind your navel and at the near your spine, you see a man on the opposite side and the woman with three heads. The heads will keep increasing to show you that this is a second chakra, third chakra, like that. So the triangle with the face down is the symbol of fire. So this is the fire. If you remember, Agni also is fire. So initiation means birth, giving you the conception. You're conceived now. And what is the conception about? The man is looking old, not like the young men earlier. So it refers to your Karana Sharira or your past. And in your past, there are so many samskaras, so many traits, predispositions that have been put in. And this shows the man as being old, and the woman has three heads here. I won't go more into details about this because that will take away from our subject. I just want to give you a brief glimpse into it. Maybe another time we can do the chakras if it's important at all. Then from once that fire has to do with control and survival in a much more controlled manner. So this is about control. You have all that you have got. This is power and control. If you misuse the power to control someone so that they get below you. You're being tamasic and you'll go right back to the material world only. But if you're using your feelings and you're using the power in a wiser manner, that is where initiation takes place, and you're taking care of other people and sharing your power rather than um, using it for yourself by controlling other people, then you are pushed into the next chakra, the wise use of power. The next chakra down, you will see there is the man and the woman with four heads. The man is back where he is. The animal that you see here is the um, deer, the deer, and you'll see the gazelle, that deer. And when you um, the intuition is like that. When you start moving into higher dimensions of being, you're moving through psychic dimensions. And in psychic dimensions, you um, expand your consciousness. So it's something like looking at a deer. If you have seen a group of deer standing together, one tiny little whisper, and they'll all jump and go away. The way they jump, it looks as if they're flying through the air when they're going fast. And intuition is like that. You feel as if it is in the air. Intuition is all airy fairy. I don't believe in it. I don't know whether it's really true or it's just my imagination. But you, the just like the gazelle, the deer is leaping up, but its feet are actually on the ground each time it lands. That way, intuition is also quite well grounded. It's a larger being. So then you have and here you have the woman in the middle. That is the meditating person who goes into this area, and the power that you have earlier on is transformed into um, the emotion of devotion. So whatever you do, you're doing it. You have a certain skill set, but you're doing it to share with everybody else in the universe also. So you will have people who are sculptors, who are orators, who are poets, who are painters, all these artistic people. They get these mild siddhis when they go into the Anahat chakra. And they are also, and that is what is shown in the middle, that the woman, the gentle, tender arts that come up. And at the same, this is the woman who is being transformed on the inside. Now, when they are saying man and woman in the tantras, because this is a tantric image, they are not talking of your gender differentiation. They are talking of one person having a man and woman within themselves. Every person has a man and woman. Your creative, aggressive aspects are called man. Your tender, nurturing, compassionate aspects are called woman. So when a man and a woman fall in love, they are actually searching for what is inside themselves, but they're projecting it out and thinking it is the woman outside. But through the woman outside, if you stay there in that particular bond, you will come to realize a woman inside you also. Sorry. Then you come to the next one, and that is at the heart. That is called Anaha Chakra, and that is where Bhakti starts. And then you go to the next Swadhisthana, where you have just an elephant with one trunk. And you have the man and the woman, 5 faces each. And this shows you the Vishuddhi Chakra. Vishuddhi means purified well. Vishuddhi means purified well. So what is purified? The conditioning that you have got with situations, your ideas, because you're expanding, you see, earlier on. And when you have devotion flowing in, you are able to see things in a much wider perception, and then Viveka comes to you. What is Viveka? Viveka is the quality that you have which tells you what is impermanent and what is permanent. So you realize that many things you ran after from in the material body, your emotions with people, your trust in the power and controlling Shakti, and even your intuition, they're all temporary, they don't last. Then you realize there's something that is permanent and lasts. And you realize that something is what you have called God or higher science or whatever you call it. And then you say, now why do I need to run after things that are temporary? So you give them up and you move towards that which is permanent. Then when you go beyond that, you come to the eyebrow center. The eyebrow center, you see this Omkar written there. And you see this man with 6 faces. And you see the woman Ardhanari. That is, she's half man, half woman. She has found the man in her. And if it's a man sadhaka, he finds the woman within himself. Now, at that point, in the early Anahata Chakra itself, when you have started finding it, celibacy becomes a spontaneous act. You don't need to have a sexual union to express your love. So what was passion in the Muladhara Chakra becomes compassion in the Anahata Chakra. And by the time you go to the Agnya Chakra, you have realized the you have been initiated into the higher dimension, and you drop. You might live wherever you are. Like King Janaka was a king, he had palaces. He didn't drop it and run away. You don't drop anything and run away. What you drop is the ego, your identity with the thing outside, to say this is my house, my land, my jewels, my people I can command. That my goes, that's all. You can remain where you are, whether you're a sannyasi, grihastha, brahmachari, vanaprastha, it doesn't matter. Where you are, you can, when you have viveka, you are moving towards a greater force. And then you realize that this greater force is actually moving you. It has brought you all the way up. Agnya Chakra is where you get instructions from your guru, subtle instructions on the inside. These instructions are not heard by everybody else. You get a push to move in a specific direction. Now, when you have that happening, you have a sense of reassurance that you're not getting into any trouble and there is somebody else watching out for you, protecting you, guiding you, and will always be there. That is your guru. It's the Agnya Chakra, or the middle, third eye in the middle of the eyebrows. Just have a look at this nicely and then get a feel of it, and then we'll continue. Maybe in my purse. Get the purse. I'm telling you. And slowly I'm going into the story of how Anjaneya or Hanuman, as is reported in the Sundarkand. Just to give you an idea of how each journey of Anjaneya or Hanuman is a spiritual journey that any sadhak can go through and become a Hanuman in their own right. Don't stand near me. Let's see. Don't bother me anymore. Give me back the change. So
I won't give you back anything, okay?
I want to change.
I'll give you back to 20, okay?
So in the Sundarkandam itself, you will find that Anjaneya, when he was a child, though, I'm not talking of Sundarkandam, before, when he was a child, his mother leaves him alone and goes out, and he is very hungry. And when he is very hungry, what he does is he's sitting looking out the window and he sees the sun rising and he thinks it's a big orange and he has a lot of potential power, you see. So he jumps and he tries to catch the sun. Immediately, Indra, you heard me yesterday and day before yesterday, we talked about the symbolism of different devatas. Indra is the enlightening mind, not yet fully enlightened. However, this is the enlightened mind which throws a missile at this child so that the child falls down unconscious. Because if he takes the sun away, then the world is going to be in darkness. When he comes to himself, his father Vayu Bhagavan or the Mahaprana has said that he will not move unless his son is restored to him. So the gods talk about it and then they say, okay, let him get back all his powers, but it will remain inside him. He will never know he has these powers in case he misuses them because he's a child, he doesn't know. Avidya could be there. So when he is reminded of it at some particular time, he will recognize his powers and the powers will come alive. Now, this is true not just of Hanuman, it is true of every human being, every creature. We don't know the potential we have. Suddenly, if you open the papers, you will find some child coming first in the topmost exam in the country who had nothing to eat, mother working to feed the child working overtime in a farm or something to keep himself alive or carrying bricks so he can fund his own studies and bringing himself up to such an extent that he can become the a prime minister of a country for one thing or highly revered scientist. So the point is everybody has this shakti or the potential within us. It's kept closed until somebody comes and tells you, hey, you really have it, put it out and get on with it. Then that is the guru. So the guru tells us what I have, you also have. You've got to work on it, that's all. You have to do the yajna, the sacrifice, meaning you give up some things for the sake of something larger. So the same thing happened to Hanuman, and he grew up, and eventually he was along with the Vayu, with Vali. Vali was the king. Before that, Sugriva was the king. Sugriva is the son of the Surya Bhagavan, and Vali is the son of Indra. So Indra is the enlightened mind. When you say son, it's an amsha or part. It means that it's an enlightened being. And the Surya is the luminous one that gives light to everything else. And Surya Putra, son of Surya, or an Amsha, or a portion of Surya, is who Sugriva is. That is the illumination. So what Hanuman does is, he wants to learn from a guru. So who does he go to? He goes to Surya and he learns from the sun god. Who is Surya? Surya, not this sun that you see here, but the light of the worlds, the light of the universes. So he goes there and he learns. And at the end of what he has learned, and he has learned quickly, the sun says, this boy asks, I want to give you a dakshina to the guru, that is the sun. And the Surya says, look after my son. So he comes down, he doesn't quite understand it, but later he knows that the sun is a form of the sun that is called his son is Sugriva. So Sugriva is the king and he is a messenger for Sugriva. And Sugriva is turned out by Vali because an enlightened mind can always put out the light because you have a sattvic karma. You have a sattvic vasana, which is you think you know everything, and so you're one step better than everybody else, and slowly you start taking over you try to play God also. You tell somebody you do this, this will happen, and you try to mess around with the righteous world with your own opinions and predispositions. You may be a good person, it may be done in the best interest of the other person, but unless you know the highest truth, you really don't know what the other person needs. So, this is how it happened, and uh, you have Rama under Sugriva, and Sugriva is chased out of his kingdom by Vali. And in that situation, Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana are in the forest, and Sita is kidnapped, and Rama, in the course of search for her, helplessly comes across Hanuman. And when he sees Hanuman the first time, he tells Lakshmana, this is not an ordinary person. Because Hanuman, first of all, comes like a poor Brahmin. He doesn't come like a monkey, because um, Rakshasas or demons can change their forms. So he doesn't want to disturb Rama. So from his point of view, he sees Rama as a good man who is searching for his wife who has been kidnapped. And he is coming to make friends with Rama so that his king Sugriva, who is in exile, can also be helped. So the conversation that they have between Rama and Hanuman shows that Hanuman is a person who is very fluent in the art of communication, fluent in the Shastras, how you are supposed to communicate with whom and when. And then he is fluent in the Vedas, which is the breath of the Supreme. So, having all this, Rama thinks is a good friend to have. He makes friends with Hanuman, and then Hanuman leads him to Surya. Surya is to Sugriva, who is Surya's son. And in front of the Surya sun, a portion of it, Rama comes, and Rama is the complete sun. That's why they say he's born in the Surya Vamsha. That is, he is born of that lineage of the sun god. When they say sun god, they are talking of the complete illumination. That is the um, person we might call Father or Allah or um, Bhagavan or Paramatma. You know, we say Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Guru is a Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this Parabrahma, or the transcendental supreme consciousness, that is what Sri Rama is. And when he meets Sri Rama, somewhere he now knows that his journey has come to an end. He has reached home, and now he is what you would call at the Agnya Chakra, sort of. But still, he's a jnani. Jnani means a person who has moved through intellect into buddhi, into intuition, and moved along that way. He's not a specific bhakta. He is not, emotions have been moved to the side by him. So, what does he do? He is told by one of the um, monkeys there, a bear actually, he said by Jambavan, who is a many animals come down, many gods come down, many powers come down as animals, as Rakshasas, in many, many forms in Sri Rama's time. Some to help him to establish the righteousness or dharma. So you have Jambavan, that is a bear, and Jambavan tells him, now listen, Hanuman, they finally come to a point when they get to know that at the southernmost part, beyond South India, if you go beyond the ocean, you come to a place called Lanka, what is now called Sri Lanka. And they come to know that Sita has been kidnapped by a person, demon called Ravana, and taken to Lanka, and he's kept her there. Now, he has to go and find Sita. How does he go and find Sita? How can he find Sita? There aren't roads those days. You have to leap over the ocean. And each of the monkeys say, I can leap just these few meters. Someone says, I can leap 2 miles. Someone says, maybe 15 miles. But this huge expanse of water, I can't leap. So Jambavan tells Hanuman, you know, Hanuman, you have certain qualities you never knew you had. You have um, a you have won over the Pancha Mahabhutas, that is the 5 elements: earth, water, air, soil, air, fire, and space. You have this quality. This is what your Atma is. If you only allow that Shakti to come up, it will come up and you'll get all the siddhis necessary to work for Rama. not necessary to show off by yourself. These are the qualities given to you for a specific purpose, and that purpose is to work for the divine, to establish dharma on the in the world, not as you perceive dharma to be, but as the divine perceives it to be. You have these qualities, open it out and go ahead, he says. So immediately that is seen, he stands on the earth, the um, a mountain which shatters into pieces when he becomes huge, and he flies over the ocean. Flies over the ocean. I'm not going to go into the details now. I'll come a little later because I want you to get a feel of the main chakras now. And then he flies across from with the Muladhara consciousness, and he reaches Lanka, and he manages to go inside, and he walks through the apartments of, he goes all around, sees a very luxurious city, and at one place he sees a man chanting Ram Nam, and then he wants to know who in this place has got Ram Nam chanting. It is Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana. He speaks to him, and he asks him, why are you chanting this Nam? And he says, I'm doing it because this is my Ishta Devata. And Hanuman tells him, well, now you have to actualize your energy to help your Ishta Devata at this point. This is evolution. And then he goes round, he walks through the apartments of Ravana, and this is the Swadhishtan Chakra. The ambience, it's not a chakra whirling somewhere, it is the ambience of luxury, material luxury. You find beautiful women, you have people playing their musical instruments that are so beautiful, people lying on beautiful colored silken clothes, pearls scattered on the floor, people wearing jewelry that is so beautiful you can't take your eye off it, women who are entwined with each other, or lying bare and disheveled, the most beautiful things in the world that you can think of. Everything is there, and Hanuman goes through it, and he comes to the other part undistracted. And Rama knew that Hanuman was the only person who could be not distracted, because he has reached the Anahat Chakra then itself. And he knows that he is a celibate because he's not looking for any material pleasure outside of himself. The pleasure is already there. He is in a state of mild intoxication. So he's not looking outside. He is a Jivan Mukta. That is, he has got a control over all the Pancha Mahabhutas. He can change the form, his own form, the way he wants to. That happens when you have control over the Pancha Mahabhutas, because the body, the physical body, our individual physical body, and everything in its creation is formed of these 5 elements in different vibratory ratios. If you have a control over them, you can change the ratios and make yourself small, big, transparent, all that sort of thing. And he has this siddhi. So having this siddhi, he goes in various shapes and sizes, which we'll come to later. And then he finds Sita sitting under a tree and grieving for Sri Rama. Now he goes to her and he reassures her by telling her that, I'm making it very brief, that uh, Sri Rama is mourning for her. And Valmiki covers the grief of Sri Rama in 17 chapters to show that just as the devotee or the Atma grieves for separation from the Paramatma, from God, God also grieves for the soul that has left him and gone. So he reassures her, and then he moves into the Manipur to help out the situation, because he has to get back with a message. Now, what he does is, at this time, he gives the ring to that Rama has given him. The ring is what you know, in the old days, kings and people who have been ordained in something, you kiss the ring of the cardinal, or the king puts his uh, ring with its insignia when he is signing an important document. So the ring shows authority that has been given to a person by a higher soul. So when Rama gives the ring to Hanuman, he is in essence saying that I know you're going to do this job and come back successfully. I'm giving you this ring as a sign of my authority. So when your guru gives you a blessing, he says, go and do something. Please remember, it is an authority he is giving you to do something and telling you, you will be successful, don't worry. It means that you don't have to worry about success and failure because I am doing the work for you. You may move your hands and legs and your mouth, but I am speaking through your mouth. I am moving through your hands, getting something done. So at the end, if you come out successful, you cannot say that I achieved it. I have the credit. You know inside that it is your guru who is working for you, carrying your load. That is why you'll find Jesus saying, come to me who are if you have a load on you, you have an old baggage, you give it to me, I'll take it. Why are you worried? I'm like a train. You put the thing and you don't have to carry your luggage in the train. So then he gives her the, what do you call it? The ring. And he says, this is what Rama has sent to you to identify me. And she takes her crest jewel. You have a jewel, you call it a tika here. It's on the top of your head and it flows down into your forehead. And this she takes out and she gives it to Chudamani, it's called, what you put on the top of your head. She gives it to Hanuman and she says, when you meet Rama, please tell him that you have met me and this is for your identification. So what is the jewel on top of your head? Everybody has it. Everyone has a Chudamani. Anyone wants to answer? Okay, then let me tell you. The jewel that you have on your head is humility. Humility and surrender. So when Anjaneya or Hanuman brings the signet ring, the authority from the divine to Sita, the Atma that is waiting to join the Paramatma, grieving for separation, she returns her surrender through Hanuman. Now there are 3 Sita Kalyanams in the Ramayana. The first is the regular wedding, official, ritualistic that they had in Mithila, Rama and Sita. The second is when Sita in the forest talks to Anasuya, Atri Rishi's wife, and she describes the entire celebration, not just the celebration, what she felt, what she thought Rama felt, what they talked about, the entire wedding. After which Anasuya, who is herself a very great Devi Upasaki, she gives her a change of clothes which will always remain fresh because she's in the forest, you see, and a set of ornaments. And that time when Sita tells Ansuya everything about the wedding, it's like she relives it like a yoga nidra. She relives the whole thing. This is the second Sita Kalyanam. And the third and the most important Sita Kalyanam is the Sita Kalyanam that the Guru does. He joins the devotee with Paramatma. He joins the Atma with the Paramatma. If he has given you Diksha, he has already arranged your merger with the divine. The merger has happened. Then it's only a question of your working through the many karmas you need to go through and reach that point. He has already finished it. Such a marriage, a spiritual marriage, it's called unio mystica. It is spiritual marriage or the merging, which is called yoga. The Atma merging with the Paramatma is called yoga. This is what yoga is. This, when you become a Parama yogi, And that is how the Gopikas were with Krishna. There is a merging of consciousness with the divine. And it is the Guru who does it, and only the Guru can do this. You cannot do it on your own. So that is what Hanuman does for Sita when he tells her that he has come from Sri Rama. Then he, when she, and then he goes inside and the Rudratvam aspect of it comes up. You know how his tail is set on fire and he burns the whole of Lanka, all beautiful formations that is the aesthetic museums, the beautiful things that he had, which is part of Swadhisthana, the luxuries Ravana had, the power that he misused, which was Manipur Chakra. All this was burnt. For who? For Ravana. It was burnt for Ravana. And then Hanuman comes in front of Ravana. And Ravana has been a great, great bhakta, very devout bhakta, and he has all the qualities that Hanuman has, and also the many of the qualities that Sri Rama has, except that he is not yet Paramatma. He also has a control over the Panchamahabhutas. He has music like Narada would play. He has the Samaveda in his hands, and he has a greater power than most of the powers that we call gods and goddesses today. And because he has controlled those powers, he is able to win over anything, anywhere. And that gave him an arrogance that I can do anything that I want. But he also had to be liberated. So Hanuman goes and stands in front of Ravana because he's been caught by the people. He allows himself to be caught. And already the Rudratvam is in him. And Hanuman is telling Ravana, give Sita back to Rama. Sri Rama will forgive you and you will get everything that you desire. Now you see, when he says this, he's actually trying to give Ravana the Rama mantra. He's trying to initiate him because Rudra is Shiva. And Shiva is Ravana's Ishtadevata. If you remember, he offered 10 of his heads to the 10 Rudras. He has reached such a height in his evolution. But just that sattvic arrogance makes him do one wrong thing. So then he goes there and he sets fire to the tail of Hanuman, which he is setting fire to the tail of his Ishtadevata, to be frank. Because when Rama goes down to help him, Shiva says, I will go down. I'll go, I won't take anybody with me. I'll go alone and I'll be a monkey, so nobody will know me. Also, there is a part of Ravana's karma that he has asked that he cannot be killed by any force in the universe except men and monkeys because he doesn't think they mean anything. They are like dirt to him. And so Rama had to, the Paramatma had to take the form of a man, and all the gods had to come as various monkeys so that they can help in the liberation of Ravana. Please remember this, never forget this, that just because a person does something wrong, God has judged him and punished him. God doesn't do that. Nobody is ever punished, but you're given difficulties. This is what Rudra does. I was telling you yesterday, Rudra gives you so many difficulties so that you can shed those things that are negative in you, the ego in you, and move towards the source. So then he goes back, and when he is leaving Sita and he goes back, he tells Sita, gives him an initiation. She is his guru. Why is Sita his guru? You will get to know later. So Sita gives him his initiation, and the Duta, that is, he says, I'm Rama Duta. In the beginning, I'm a messenger from Rama, I'm his postman. Now he says, I'm a Ramadasa. If you remember, yesterday I told you, when you are a if you have devotion, you are just a devotee. When you have bhakti, you become a servant. So Ramadasa means I'm a servant of Rama. So he goes back as Dasa. Then he tells Sri Rama what happened. And now his luminous mind is reinforced through that whole process of flying and going across and bringing the Chudamani. Then he comes back and um, Rama puts him under the stewardship of Sugriva, because Sugriva is named the leader of the army of Vanaras. So Sugriva, naturally, this is the Surya Bhagavan, the luminosity. Now that um, Hanuman has been tried and tested by the Paramatma, and he has done what he needs to do and come back without any pride, with deep humility. Paramatma hands over the authority to Sugriva, that is the Surya Bhagavan's Amsha. And then, if you realize, all the little animals are like bundles of thoughts and bundles of superior forces. For example, Agni is called, Nila is the force of the illumined will, and the Nila is one of the monkeys. There are Ashwini Kumars. They are two powers. They are the powers of health. They are like the medical doctors among the gods. They give you health, they give you power and knowledge. Health in that sense. And there are two monkeys who are their aspects. Then you have Kubera, that is um, the deity, that is, or the power that takes care of spiritual wealth. People will usually put Kubera's picture in shops because they think it is about getting money. But that's not the wealth they are talking about. The wealth here they are talking about is about the spiritual wealth, which is actually found here symbolically in the mountain that Hanuman carries to with the medicinal herbs to bring Lakshmana back to life. So like this, you have many um, monkeys who are part of that. And then Hanuman goes back, and now he is in the Agnya Chakra. He is following Rama's commands through Sugriva completely without any distraction. And when that happens, then whatever he does perfectly. So when you come even to the last part of it, in the great war, Ravana he sees Rama. He has fought with many people. His sons have fought and died, and his brother has fought and died. This is somewhere in the middle, and he sees Rama leaning on his bow, which is called Kodanda. When he looks at Rama, he sees him as if he's towering up to the skies. He has that darshan, Vishwarupa darshan. And here it is the devotee and the Ishta facing each other in a confrontation. Why Ishta? Because if some of you remember, I'll go through it briefly. There were two security guards for Vishnu, the sustaining force. And when somebody came to see Vishnu, they had come through so many difficulties and struggles. When they reach the place and they say, we want to see Vishnu, that great God, that is your merger into the Supreme. The security guards say, okay, sit down here and wait, he'll come slowly. Like, a peon in a governor's office, he would say, okay, sit here. He would identify with the power of the gardener and act like a mini governor. So in that sense, they will tell these boys and these little children, these are 4 children. One of them is Kanda Subramanya. And they tell him that you will also know the grief we face when we are separated from the Lord. So at that point, Vishnu comes and he says, if you hurt my bhaktas, you will never go reach anywhere. So you have to go down and be separated from me and live out certain lifetimes before coming to me back. So these are his two great devotees, and they say, how can we be separated from you? So he says, you make a choice. It can be 3 lives of hating me or 7 lives of loving me. They choose because they think they can come back sooner. Yeah, there is some message coming in Tulsi's husband. Anyway, I'm not going into that. So they externally they hate. And this is his second lifetime as Ravana, one of the security guards. Kumbhakarna, his brother, is the other. So what he does when he comes back is he hates Vishnu, and he is a great Shiva Bhakta. Shiva is the person who dissolves him back to the source. Vishnu is the one who sustains. So he is against Vishnu, and here is Rama coming as an avatar of Vishnu. So when they face each other, it's the Ishta and the devotee actually facing each other. And Ravana says how beautiful he is, how handsome he is. But he does not realize that, because in this Janma he is a Shiva Bhakta. So then what happens is, because of this, they've come to the final battle. And when they come to the final battle, Vibhishana, that is Ravana's brother, laments that. You tell me the time, somebody? Can you
I
tell
think
me?
it's 5:25 almost.
5:25.
Yeah.
Good grief. You'll have to give me 10 minutes.
Yes, Swami.
So Vibhishana laments that Rama doesn't have a chariot, he's just an ascetic. So Rama says, no, I have Shraddha and Titiksha. Shraddha is the sincerity and the Titiksha is the endurance. They are my wheels of my chariot. My flag is Satyam, the truth. Dhyana is the expert meditation, expert driver. My shield is Vairagya, renouncement. Contentment is my sword. My wisdom is the bow. The completely focused mind is the quiver. The arrows are the sense restraint and tranquility. I am not afraid of defeat because I have no enemy in the world. He says, if I don't hate somebody, I don't have an enemy. And how does Rama get all this? He gets it by serving his guru. And what does Ravana get at the end of it? Ravana gets liberation because his devotion to his guru turns into bhakti. How does it become bhakti? Later on, they will say that the story actually Ramayana is the first name for it given by Valmiki is Sitaya's Charitam Mahat, the great story of Sita, the Ramayana. Why? Because Sri Rama is Devi Shakti. That is why he does all the actions. And Sita is Shiva. This is the Rahasya of the Ramayana. And why does Ravana go and kidnap Sita and bring her over? In normal terms, people would think she's a beautiful woman married to Rama, and so does Ravana also thinks. He's intoxicated, infatuated with Sita. It's because that Sita is the Shivatvam. When he is a devotee of Shiva, he has tried to merge with Shiva. He has cut 10 heads of his and given it as bhakti to Shiva. He asks Shiva at one point for the Atma Lingam, that is the Shiva in the Atma of Shiva. And Shiva even gives it to him and he takes it, but he's not able to carry the weight. He leaves it uh, in the south of India, Rameshwaram. And he comes back, but he's always um, worried about not being merged into Shiva. And that infatuation, which was tinged by avidya, made him take Sita home and keep her for so many days in the Ashokavana. And he couldn't touch her as an infatuated man, but he grieved for that separation from Sita, not knowing that he was grieving for the separation from Shiva. So Sita was Shiva, Rama was Shakti, and you will see in the Adhyatma Ramayana, Sita will say the secret to Hanuman. She will tell Sri Rama, why don't you tell him the secret? He has proved worthy of it. And Sri Rama, Sita will say, I am the one who wrote the entire script as Shiva, and Rama is Shakti, who is following the entire script and doing the dynamic aspect of it. So when Vishnu has promised Jaya, hate me and I will see that you will come back after 3 births hating me. In the second birth, when Ravana is asked by Hanuman as Shiva, as Rudra, to get the Rama mantra, he says no, he throws it back, because had he got the Rama mantra, he would have become a bhakta and he could not have been liberated, because he said he would hate. You have, so the divine keeps him hating, keeps him from moving towards him as Vishnu, and eventually he defeats him and liberates Ravana his second lifetime. This is the Rahasya of Ramayana. You have to understand this. And now you'll say, where does Vishnu come into it? Because you have Shiva as Sita and Rama as Amba. So where does Vishnu come in? Vishnu and Devi are the same. Vishnu and Shiva are the same. Vishnu and Devi are the same. So what will she say? Lalita Tripura Sundari will say in one of her talks, she will say, I as a male infatuated the Gopikas of Brindavan. As Krishna, she comes as a male and they fall in love with Krishna. But who they are going towards is Shakti actually. So Vishnu and Devi are the same. That is why when you say in Chandi part, when you're talking to the Devi in the 11th chapter of Chandi part, what do you say? You say Narayani Namostute. Narayana Shakti Narayani Namostute. You don't say Shivani or Shiva Shakti. Although there the as Chandika she is Shiva Shakti. But she is called as Narayani because she is the same sustaining power of Vishnu, and the one who acts as Yogamaya and keeps the illusion alive. And then with that illusion, she slowly moves you as a mother towards the father, that is Sri Rama. So this is why you will find that Sri Rama is often called the Taraka Rama, or the Taraka is that which helps you cross over. So the mantra Omkar is the Taraka mantra which helps you cross over into the unknown, potentially unknown. You know it inside, but you're afraid because we've got so identified with our material world that we don't realize that there is something else within us that can transcend this identity with the material world. That is your Atma. And we'll stop here at this point. I thought I'll tell you a few other things, but we'll stop here at this point. We don't go beyond the time. And I pray that the combined power of Sita and Rama, Shiva and Shakti will be with you and help all of us to raise our consciousness beyond our own material way of looking things. Namo Narayan. Chant Omkar. Keep your eyes closed for a few minutes, then keep your eyes open and just look at the screen Don't get up in a hurry and go. Another 2 minutes, Shivani. Shivatandava Stotram.
Yes, Swamiji.
The last day, don't forget to light a lamp for Anjaneya, Hanuman in your house, and come because we are looking at something very sacred. So you know now the greatness, the magnitude of the power that is Hanuman, and you'll see more of that tomorrow. Hari Om Tat Sat.